What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the quartering, and we couldn't make it. We were so close.
We were so close! So close. We tripped at the finish line. Why? Because our little nutmeg has to go all noble.
It's December 23rd, and it looks like Polygon has delivered a Christmas present to Anita Sarkeesian by allowing her to be relevant yet again. In a brand new post on Polygon's website, we look at, quote, looking back at the old GG, and just a brief look at those in the know who read the article that is full of verifiable lies. For example, on August 24th, game developer Zoe Quinn, this is part of the article, ex-boyfriend posted a vicious scred, falsely accusing Quinn, goes by they, them, of trading hookups for reviews in the game. By the way, Aaron Grangi never said that. He never accused her of that. They just can't even keep their own lies straight. Of course, we all know that after some investigation, everybody at the end of the day, not a single charge was filed. Now, some people weren't happy about that, but it doesn't change the fact that no charges were filed. But that doesn't matter. You know why I think that they continue to obsess over this? For example, with Anita, I get it. It's the last time that she was relevant. She's looking back at a time in her life in which she was probably very flush with cash. And I get it. Look, my YouTube career is going to last a year, maybe two. And I'm going to look back at December 2019, December 2018 as like these crazy good years and how it was amazing. And I'll probably want to recapture that. I will wish that Brie Larson says something stupid again, or I'll wish that, you know, something like the Star Wars, The Rise of the Skywalker, or The Last Jedi would happen. But maybe they don't. And I think ultimately you have to let those things go and you have to find a new calling, which is exactly what Anita should do. But instead, Polygon enables her by allowing her to write an op-ed. Anita Sarkeesian looks back at GG. The games industry's silence was shameful. Are you joking? It was all anyone was talking about. It's 5 years later, and you're still talking about it. I'm not exactly sure who was silent on it. It was the biggest deal on the internet in the last 5 years. Other than the Baby Yoda, maybe. It starts out, no look back at video games in the last decade is complete without an honest, clear-eyed reckoning with GG, the massive, decentralized hate mob temper tantrum that upended people's lives in the late summer of 2014. Congratulations! You immediately destroy your credibility in the very first sentence. The fact, that Anita Sarkeesian feels like she can provide, as she puts it, an honest, clear-eyed reckoning of an event in which she was a central figure is absurd. The fact that Polygon had her pen this as an honest, clear-eyed, impartial person is ridiculous. It goes completely against Polygon's credibility, and honestly, Polygon's kind of stayed out of the garbage lately. Now, maybe they're looking for a big traffic boost at the end of the year. Of course, I will leave archived links only, if any at all, because I don't want to reward this type of content, but I think it's important to counter their narrative. And there is the kind of school of thought that says, you know, if you wouldn't respond to it, they would just fade into obscurity. That's not true, because here we are. She has a gigantic platform given to her because her own YouTube channel and Twitter feed are completely dead. Polygon will dredge this all up as another reason to smear gamers. She goes on to say, nor can we ignore the game industry's complicity in GG through its shameful silence in the face of a reactionary mob of gamers, in parentheses. Now, that's on purpose, by the way. In August 2014, game developer Zoe Quinn, her ex-boyfriend, posted a vicious scred falsely accusing them of trading hookups for reviews. That's not true. He never did that. Quinn was immediately attacked by a vicious online hate mob with an all-consuming vitriolic rage that is hard to succinctly describe. It's also hard to ignore, I see you forgot to mention this part, but she turned that into a gigantic money farm, including stealing tens of thousands of dollars from people backing a video game that was never made. Including, by the way, Jim Sterling, fellow video game reviewer who voiced sections of the game, but because of his allegiance to her and the movement, has refused to take any responsibility or at the very minimum disavow the game. Look, if I had voiced over a game that went on Kickstarter and stole $80,000, I would know, and Jim knows this, that people backed it because he was in it. And he has accepted no responsibility. I'm not saying he's to blame for the game not getting made, but he should have absolutely disavowed it and made some sort of apology. I would have. The seemingly endless deletion and struggle snuggle threats, they received forced Quinn into hiding. By the way, not one charge was ever filed, and all of this was blown out of proportion for money. As an internet aristocrat or Jim or Medicare or whatever you may want to, whatever moniker you know him as, one thing he had absolutely correct is that once a hashtag gets monetized, it's garbage. And we've seen that with other hashtags in recent history that turned out to end up, turned out maybe people weren't as, invested in the cause and more invested in extracting money. Now, to them, the facts are irrelevant because the rage and fear expressed by the men, and it was overwhelmingly men, of course there's no way to know that, who rallied to the GG banner existed long before the post went up. The hateful post offered those men the pretense of a legitimate narrative and cause. Quote, ethics in journalism. By the way, that's still not fixed. Here we have Anita writing an article for Polygon in pretending to be unbiased when even by her own, even if she was doing the best she could to be unbiased, it's impossible for her to be unbiased because she was such a central figure of it. But the real cause was silencing and shutting out women, people of color, trans people, and other marginalized folks who had started making their voices heard in gaming culture. That's verifiably false again. This is the most lie-filled 3 paragraphs I think I've ever read. This is ridiculous. Where was any... You just say this, but you provide no evidence. I never saw anybody pushing back against, quote, people of color in video games. That wasn't even ever a narrative. GG's real goals were expressed in explicit, every phobia word, every buzzword on the mat you can imagine, of the memes of the movement generalized. And its posts its supporters wrote on message boards where they organized and strategized. By the way, just to be clear, and again, I wasn't a part of this. So I feel like even though one particular side of it, I don't agree with their ideologies, I feel like I can be impartial in saying that there were 2 sides to this. Powerful people on both sides. To be honest, the anti-side had like NFL players, like a Chris Cluey, and other high-profile people with lots of money that were engaging in some just deplorable behavior. But everyone always forgets that, right? Because that's convenient. Later, the flimsiness of the ethics in games journalism pretense would become a mocking meme, signifying a bad faith argument. It would almost be funny if GG hadn't done so much harm and caused so much lasting trauma. It caused no harm, and it didn't cause any trauma. It caused a lot of people to make a lot of money, and they continue to monetize their quote-unquote victimhood. It can sometimes be difficult to explain just how vicious and vitriolic and cruel GG was, or how it has metastasized across our culture. Online attacks like these have become increasingly common. Odds are that you've witnessed, read about, or at least one in the past couple of years. Yeah, how about your side's Me Too garbage? Your side's cancel culture? Don't mention any of that. Nope, you got to mention Leslie Jones for daring to be in 2016's Ghostbusters remake, or the sheer viciousness Congressperson AOC endured for having a joyfully danced ever in her life. By the way, she's referencing fake outrage that never happened. Like, for what I remember, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez released some dancing video from her youth, and then they spun up this story that old guard boomers were so upset by it, even though there was no evidence of that either. You know, kind of like how she was busted staring at an empty parking lot, but then tried to say it was like a migrant camp or something like that. She's a liar, just like all politicians. So it's convenient that Anita would prop her up and allow this lie to progress. But of course, she's an ethical games journalist. Just like the fact that Leslie Jones only took heat for simply starring in the film, not for, engaging directly with people, antagonizing them, and leading to Milo being banned from Twitter. No, Leslie Jones was just an innocent bystander, y'all, because reasons. This is ridiculous. I'm not saying that people doing like tributes for Leslie Jones was okay. That's gross and not cool. But to act like she was completely blameless and just an innocent bystander is just a lie, and you're not doing your friends any favors because it's so easily disproven. And then we get to Drumpf. GG was certainly not only the first cyber mob, nor the online harassment campaign. They keep pushing those two words, But it was the most prominent notable examples because it received widespread attention. Yeah, we remember you were on The Daily Show. I mean, it's no wonder that you can't stop looking back at this because it was the last time, you had real success. And I thought you did good. Anita interviewed, I forget her name, the smart girl or something like that. The one who got into some trouble overseas, did some time, some people I know. I thought that was pretty good. I think she could do well interviewing people or doing documentaries and stuff like that. But she's got to get off GG. She's got to. And especially when, you go on further in the article, is you go, and here's where the really disturbing thing about all of this. We can now draw a pretty direct line from GG to the Drumpf administration. After all, it was his former chief advisor, Steve Bannon, who hired a, quote, tech editor for the far-right publication Breitbart, though that editor didn't only write about tech, and he routinely wrote posts about GG and anti-fem and would bring readers into that fold. Again, I don't really know. I don't really read Breitbart. I assume, just like anyone, I think, that they're as biased as anyone else. I don't really trust any individual news source outside of maybe a few YouTubers or news sources that are at least open and clear about their bias so you can delineate what the truth is. But, of course, we know, yes, it's Orange Man bad. Not that GG needed any more convincing. GG was an inherently conservative, reactionary movement, a desire to return to some imagined, idealized past in which games culture was entirely the domain of straight white men. No, it wasn't. Again, why? I mean, I guess this is like a well-calculated move by her to just continue to like double, triple, quadruple, quintuple down on these lies. I mean, women, especially women of color and trans women, have been speaking up for years about this aggressive rising hatred, but no one was listening. If the games industry had taken a bold stand against GG, then subsequent events may have taken a different course. You mean the games industry that entirely stood with you? The games industry that is populated by people that hate gamers? The games industry that's community managers routinely ban people for pushing back against narrative? What do you mean? On what planet did you not have all the support of the corporations? On what planet did Anita Sarkeesian not get, what, $1 million endowment or something like that from Intel, some huge cash payment? Was Intel donating money to gamers? No, they weren't. You had all the money, all the narrative, all the power, and you still lost, and you can't believe it. It's like 2016, just exactly like 2016, and you haven't gotten over 2014. You're not going to get over 2016, and don't expect anything in the future to change until you take your L and you move on. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.